Cool. Well, Harry, welcome to FrightFest. I'm guessing this is your first time here. What's your first impressions?
Oh, amazing. I was here last night as well. I came to watch The Kindred, which is great. But no, it's my first time here. I've had a film that was here once, but I was shooting, so I couldn't make it. I've heard from so many people who've done FrightFest how cool it is, how amazing the fans are. And the fans are just so cool. I've said this in like every interview. They're teaching me so much already. I feel like I'm being educated on the world of horror in a way that I would never in any other festival. It's really cool.
And what do you think it is about horror that sort of brings out that fanaticism in people?
It's primal. It's really primal. There's like a part of us that sometimes just want to sit down and have a really good scare. And it sends the adrenaline running. You don't really get that in many other movie genres. Maybe thriller that kind of crosses over into it, but comedy, drama, it's more about acting or screenwriting or whatever. But when it comes to horror, it just is purely terrifying. And there's something about that and the weird and wonderful, strange ways it can be done that is just so captivating.
I mean, in Followers, you're one of the leads. You know, you play Jaunty. Can you tell us a little bit about him and where he's at when we meet him?
Yeah, sure. So Jaunty keeps saying he's on a journey when you meet him. He's a disgraced reality star. He had a Made in Chelsea-esque show, and he lost it all by saying some really terrible things in tune with the whole cancel culture right now. Totally warranted, but he's trying to find his way back onto being a good person in the public's eyes. I think there's quite a lot of opportunity for comedy in that sense throughout the film because, I mean, at the end of the day, he's a hugely problematic, flawed character who just wants to be liked. That's why he wants to be an influencer. He just wants to be liked by everyone. And because of that, he's trying to do these initially terrible vlogs that just come across as these awful attempts at him sharing himself, and little by little turn into something quite special and different. And he finds his voice as the film goes on and becomes quite an interesting character. I might be biased, I played him, but he becomes a very interesting character. And I think that's what's interesting about all the characters, is they all have a really interesting character development and interesting relationships within the university house.
It's a horror film, yes. You know, there's a ghost in the house with them, but also it's about these young people sort of finding their way in life. You know, was that something that really appealed when you read the script?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, so when I first read the script, Marcus, our director, who sadly passed away after we finished making it, he marketed it to me with a kind of view of, you know how Cabin in the Woods takes the stereotypes of lead characters and subverts them and creates this new kind of horror genre in a way. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to take the whole idea of constantly being watched, constantly being seen by outside forces, and take the archetypal characters and make something different. And I think that he has. And so looking at this like young energy of these young people who don't know what they're doing in life and aren't sure where they stand in the world. Zorna, Larice, is desperate to be a documentarian. Pete's desperate to be a scientist. Erin doesn't really care. I mean, Amber doesn't really care so long as she gets out there. And same with Jaunty in a way. They just want to be liked. And because of that, there's this interesting dynamic where people who shouldn't get along, and people who probably should get along end up just clashing horribly. And it's really interesting watch. It's a really interesting watch.
It does have some really nice things to say about social media and the way that it influences us. But I mean, I guess obviously the way that this was filmed as well. Yourself, you were one of the cameramen. What was that like?
Yeah, no, that was cool. So our director of photography, Alan, he had a hell of a job on his hands. He had 15 different cameras, and I don't know if anyone who's watching or listening will be into photography themselves, but we had GoPros, we had a bunch of Sony cameras, we had Alexas, we had Reds, we had a whole purview of cameras spanning from old 90s to new updated technology. And you can see that as the film goes. And we did it to show the budget increasing, we did it to show how it can be viewed from so many different perspectives as well. And with that, you have to make it real and you have to be shooting a lot of stuff yourself. Larice over there, who plays Zorna, she had to do a lot of the work because she's a documentarian, she wants to be behind the camera, whereas me and Erin want to be in front of it. So she really got down and studied a lot of it. My camera work was meant to be worse. Alan said to me, "Do you know how to film badly?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You don't. Let me show you how to film badly." And he had to learn how to get the zooms terrible and how to get things out of focus. So that was actually the interesting, tricky part, was trying to learn to be worse than I actually was, because I've had some experience with cameras. And that was really interesting, and seeing how it progresses in terms of different shots is so interesting. We had one GoPro, you probably see is stuffed inside a teddy at one point. So it was so small, they had to like specially rewire it effectively, and they had to like try and get it perfectly so you could see bits of the fluff but have a good visual quality. And we just had such a great photography team that kind of talked everyone through how we were going to do this stuff, and it feels very immersive and real to me. And I think it was very immersive and real as we filmed it. We were given cameras to just shoot, because do you know that we lived where we shot? Did I tell you this? No? So you know the university campus that we filmed on? We all lived in our rooms. And we wanted it to be even more immersive that way, and we left cameras lying out the whole time. And we were able to pick them up and just shoot scenes in the morning if we wanted to, improvise things, or just improvise like their lives. And so it came to the point we were all just used to picking up these cameras and filming, and that line between reality and fantasy became very blurred on set. Anyway, there you go. Long answer.
Yeah, it's an interesting anecdote. I mean, I guess obviously, now that the followers, I think you guys filmed this like a little while ago.
2.5, 3 years ago.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it still feels, really relevant, because of all the social media things. If anything, I guess society has kind of caught up. Is that weird?
Absolutely. No, it's really strange. In a way, it's kind of been timed perfectly, but when we shot it, it was kind of Marcus's vision of where we're all going, and we've almost got there way too quickly. One of the things that he talked about is he found it so fascinating, this idea of influencers and reality stars slowly becoming really prominent members of society. I mean, it happened in America. A reality star became the president, and he got so fascinated by that concept that's where all of this kind of came from. And again, like we say, cancel culture has become so relevant now, and in the film it's again so relevant. You can say one thing the wrong way, do one thing the wrong way, and the tide turns against you immediately. And you can be trying, well-intentioned, to try one little funny thing and everything falls apart. So I think it is ahead of its time, or now in its time, because of that. But that is really interesting, yeah.
I guess finally, with followers now under the belt, where can people see you next?
So there's a couple of films I've got out right now. I've got actually a short on Disney Plus, which is called Dinner is Served, and that's Disney trying to give underrepresented directors the opportunity to tell their story. So it comes from the perspective of a Chinese student who's trying to become an effective maitre d' or head boy in the Western world, and I play the current head boy, maitre d', who's trying to teach him the ropes, and that's got a really beautiful message. I'm also a script writer, and I'm currently writing and pitching a script with the help of my writing team and agents. I'm hoping I can share a bit more news on that in 6 months to a year is the time frame, but I don't want to give too much away. Busy. It is. It's busy, but at the same time, I feel like I've been able to kind of reprioritize with the pandemic and focus on things I wouldn't have been able to before, which is really, really nice. So it's like a nice work-life balance right now, which is great.
Well, you go and enjoy your screening, enjoy your film.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.